So today I'll be talking about the hate crimes against Asians in the United States. These are the topics we'll be going over today. What is a hate crime and hate crimes against East Asians, Middle Easterners, and South Asians? The hashtag or slogan, Stop AAPI Hate, and the impact it made and how to help. And then the conclusion. What is a hate crime? At the federal level, a crime motivated by bias against race, color, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, or disability, and acts of crime that happen against those people is a hate crime. A hate incident is an act of prejudice or bias. They're not crimes and do not involve violence, threats, or property damage. These include racial slurs, spitting or coughing at someone, and slapping someone. We'll start with hate crimes against East Asians and Pacific Islanders. And from March 2020 to Feb 2021, during the pandemic time, there were more than 3,800 anti-Haitian hate crimes or incidents that have occurred and have been documented, with almost many of them being against East Asians or Pacific Islanders. The constant racial stereotyping about East Asians and Pacific Islanders have increased the number of hate crimes against them. And many believe that these hate crimes have stemmed from comments that ex-President Donald Trump made, such as China virus or Kung Flu. And on the right, we have a graph showing the percentage of the hate crimes and incidents and how many of them happened and what the attackers did. The most common hate incident was verbal harassment, such as racial slurs and saying really derogatory things towards East Asians and Pacific Islanders. Many people were coughed, spat on, were shunned, faced discrimination, and were physically assaulted. And these are some examples of these hate crimes or incidents. A man on a subway slapped a Chinese woman on her hands and threatened to throw his lighter on her, and then shouted profanity and called her racial slurs. A Filipino woman was at a metro station in Washington, D.C. with her boyfriend, and a man shouted those words at her and then coughed on the couple and proceeded to physically threaten them. A stranger on the New York subway slashed a 61-year-old Filipino-American passenger's face with a box cutter. An 85-year-old Thai immigrant in San Francisco, California died last month after being violently shoved to the ground during his morning walk. A school board candidate of Vietnamese descent in Portland, Oregon found a derogatory note with the words Kung Flu on her doorstep. In Oakland, California, a 91-year-old senior was shoved to pavement from behind. And an 89-year-old Chinese woman was slapped and set on fire by two people in Brooklyn, New York. And many of these crimes were directed towards old people of the community because they're more vulnerable and they're easier to target. So many people have attacked the elderly, which is heartbreaking and should not happen to anyone. Hate crimes against Middle Easterners. After 9/11, there have been many hate crimes and incidents against Muslims, Middle Easterners, and people who are assumed to be Muslim, Middle Eastern. And this stereotype that all Muslims are terrorists highly prevails in today's society, especially after the 9/11 incident. As a result of this, society views them as dangerous to society, resulting in many hate crimes against them. But also, following the election from November 2016 to November 2017, there have been more than 302 hate crimes and incidents documented by a nonprofit organization named South Asian Americans Living Together, created as SALT. And this is not only prevalent in the South Asian community, but has also affected the entire Asian community because people have stereotyped us and put their racist beliefs and justify their actions and said, you should not belong here, go back to your country, things like that. And South Asians have been killed and violently hurt because of their background and their racial appearance and how they look like and how they are viewed as dangerous to society. Hate crimes against South Asians. 9/11 has subsequently been the root cause of many hate crimes and incidents against South Asians because of their similarities of appearance to Middle Easterns. And after 9/11, many Sikhs were affected because people thought they were Muslim because of the turbans they wore. And biased and ignorant people associate the Islamic religion to Muslim-looking people, or Middle Eastern-looking people, spreading this hatred and violence. And through this, many attackers, when they attack these vulnerable people, they shout, "Go back to your country," because they think they don't belong here. And it's horrible that these happen. And many of these crimes that were directed towards South Asians and Middle Easterns, and almost 80% of these crimes were heavily influenced by anti-Muslim sentiments. Many people didn't like Muslims, so they started attacking these people and, ruining their houses, burning their cars, and saying racial slurs at them. These are some examples of these hate crimes and incidents. So from the hate crimes that were documented after the election, many women who were perceived as South Asian, Muslim, Sikh, and Hindu, Eastern or Middle Eastern or Arab represented 28% of the documented hate violence. The report noted that 63% of them were targeted wore hijab or any type of headscarves. Deadly shootings, torched mosques, vandalized homes and businesses, and young people harassed at school have animated an acutely violent post-election year, which said by the SALT's executive director in an email. The first post-9/11 hate crime came on September 17, 2001, when an Arizona gunman shot and killed Balbir Singh Sodhi, a Sikh immigrant, fired at a gas station clerk of Lebanese descent and shot at the home of a family of Afghan descent. And all of them were intended as retaliation of the 9/11 attacks. And mind this, they were Muslim. The Sikh was perceived to be Middle Eastern and Muslim-looking, so he was attacked and killed. Antonio Nunez Flores pled guilty on March 22, 2005, because he threw an incendiary device at the Islamic Center of El Paso. In 2017, Srinivas Kuchibhotla was killed in a bar by Adam Parrington. People in the bar said that Parrington yelled, "Get out of my country," shot him, and then said many racial slurs towards him. Stop AAPI and Hate Impact. This slogan was created by Asian Pacific Planning and Policy Council, Chinese for Affirmative Action, and the Asian American Studies Department at San Francisco State University in response to the escalation of xenophobia following the COVID-19 pandemic. And recently on March 16th, 8 people, 6 who were Asian descent, were killed at 3 parlors in Georgia by Aaron Long. And these crimes were presumed to have a racial motivation, but an officer justified these actions by saying the shooter had a bad day. He killed them out of anger. And in response to these hate crimes that took place, many celebrities, politicians, and activist groups spoke about the hate against Asian American and Pacific Islanders. There are many protests that took around the country, and a few celebrities such as Sandra Oh and Rihanna have attended them. And in response to these hate crimes, many people were outraged, and that this hashtag #StopAAPI Hate has been spread worldwide. And these are some celebrities who spoke about #StopAAPI Hate. On the left side, we see a picture of BTS, a K-pop group, saying how they feel about what happened and the Asian hate. They spoke about how they face racism and they feel sad and their anger that this is happening and that no one should be treated like this. On the right, we see Eric Nam, a K-pop singer and songwriter, saying, "We are hurt, exhausted, full of sorrow and angry, rightfully so, but we must continue to persevere. We must all continue to be active in creating the change that we so badly want and need for ourselves and our future generations." On Twitter, Lana Condor, an actress, said, "Wake up, your Asian friends and family are deeply scared, horrified, sick to their stomachs, and wildly angry. Please, please, please check in on us. Please, please, please stand with us, please. Your Asian friend needs you, even if they aren't publicly grieving on social media." And Sandra Oh, an American actress, said, "I understand that, and one way to go through our fear is to reach out to our community. I will challenge everyone here. If you see something, will you help me? you see one of our sisters and brothers in need, will you help us? As Asian Americans, we just need to reach out our hand to our sisters and brothers, say, help me, and I'm here. Ways you can help and promote Stop AAPI Hate. You should support the movement by signing petitions, donating money to the victims and the movement, and bringing awareness through social media to reach friends and family. Please speak out if you have witnessed a hate crime or incident and report it. Check in with your Asian American or Pacific Islander peers and be their support system. Learn about the history of AAPI discrimination to increase sensitivity to the issues at hand. Reach out to your elected officials by emailing or calling them so they can take immediate action against these hate crimes or incidents. And if you have witnessed a hate crime, you can report it to stopaapi.hate.org, which is an organization, and semi resources. And thank you. And a note, please remember to be allies in these unprecedented times. The most important thing we can do as a community is to stand with our Asian and Pacific Islander friends. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me right now. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. And thank you so much for listening. I think